You're listening to the Business Activist Entrepreneur Podcast, episode number 45, the top 5 tools to make a positive difference in the world without adding more to your to-do list.
You're listening to the Business Activist Entrepreneur Podcast with Brandon and Amanda Neely. Whether you call yourself a social entrepreneur, a conscious capitalist, a B Corp, an L3C, or whatever, this podcast is for activists using our businesses to make the world a better place. You are not alone in your venture. This podcast exists to help you succeed in generating revenue and making the change you wish to see in the world.
Now, with this episode, I'm making a little bit of an assumption. And you should also know that Brandon has no idea what I'm going to say. And as we're talking, he's going to interject with little things, his own reactions to what I say, and we're going to go from there. So first of all, the first thing I wanted to say before we jump into the 5 tools to make a positive difference in the world without adding more to your to-do list is that the assumption I'm making is that you're not a couch potato and you're already pretty active. You're already, a business activist entrepreneur. You're an activist in some way. You're not just sitting on the couch.
Not that sitting on the couch is bad. Like sometimes, watching movies.
You do have to rest and refuel and stuff like that, but you're already pretty active. And so if you're not active at all, you would need to add stuff to your to-do list with what I'm talking about today. But if you're already active, you're not actually going to have to add anything to your to-do list. I know the title says without adding more to your to-do list, and I tried to make that true for most people, but it might not be 100% true for you. But just take what you can from these tools. There's no pressure or judgment. Just some thoughts, some ideas to spark your impact and the creativity in which you approach changing the world. Okay? Deal?
Deal.
So the first one I like to call upgrades. This is where you take something you really enjoy and you use a more ethical version. So it's not an upgrade on like your cell phone to the latest and greatest like gadget or something like that. It's actually taking something you really enjoy and using a more ethical version. That's what the upgrade is that it's upgraded in terms of its impact. For me, I think for Brandon too, we started with coffee. We would drink it every day. We went to coffee shops frequently. But to make a positive difference in the world, we upgraded our coffee and we would only drink ethically sourced, better than fair trade coffee. So we didn't add anything new to our to-do list. We were already drinking coffee. We were already going to coffee shops. But now we would make sure that we were making a positive difference with every cup that we drink.
And it actually tastes better too.
That's true.
Better quality, and there's a lot more benefits besides just making that change. It was tasted good, felt better, all kinds of things I felt.
Yep, absolutely. So think of a product that you already use and you know that there's something a little better out there in terms of its impact in the world. And make the upgrade. Switch to the more ethical version. That will make that positive difference. It could be milk, where if you drink a lot of milk, just switch to organic. It could be eggs. Do the same thing. Organic, fair trade, or free. No cages. Yeah, that sort of thing. We've done that before too. There's lots of different things. Your clothes, if you if you like to buy clothes, buy more ethical versions of those clothes. You're not going to buy anything new. You're just going to upgrade in terms of what you are buying.
Yeah, I know we did this with our clothing purchases.
Yep.
And then actually the fun part about that too is the clothing usually lasts longer and it's more durable and all kinds of other things besides just buying ethical clothing. That's about the same price. But it's also going to last longer. So actually, in the long scheme of things, it's cheaper.
Yep. And in the case of some of those food items, when you go to a more ethical version, it's probably going to be healthier for you too. Less pesticides, all that kind of stuff. So upgrades in more ways than one. Secondly, your charitable giving. So again, I'm assuming people are pretty active. You're already doing some charitable giving. Definitely don't underestimate the value of those donations. And what I would recommend here is to give to 1 or 2 of your favorite charities and really hone in and focus there. In fact, if you have consistent focused engagement, not just with your charitable donation, charitable giving in terms of cash, but also your volunteer work. If you have that consistent, focused engagement over time, that can be the key to making lasting impact. So give, read their letters and reports, volunteer at the same place that you give. And as you're invited, ask tough questions. Invite your friends and family to get involved. You're already doing these kind of things. You're already giving, you're staying informed, you're volunteering. All I'm saying is that maybe you could have a bigger impact if you focus on one or two nonprofits that you really believe in, you get really excited about, and maximize your impact there. And maybe you'll make a bigger difference in the world.
And it doesn't have to be nonprofits either, because this is a business activist podcast. So it might be a social enterprise that's getting started, or something like that, where you might be focusing on that social enterprise to help it grow to where then it's self-sustaining at one point or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So upgrades, charitable giving is number 2. Number 3, what you already have. This is actually going to maybe take some things off your to-do list, depending. The whole idea, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is a great guideline for a lot of things, but my favorite one is technology. We don't need the latest and greatest gadgets of all time. We don't need to continue to upgrade all the time with the latest and greatest. We can use less environmental resources by only replacing technology when it actually breaks. You can actually remove some of the items from your to-do list because you're going to buy things less often. Save your wallet too. And there's no more standing in lines for a new release or keeping tabs on what's in the pipeline that's going to be released. What you already use is probably a great piece of technology already. So keep using it until it breaks. And that can make a positive difference in the world.
When I think about that with technology, some of the stuff that we want and need and think we need didn't even exist 2 or 3 years ago. And
definitely not like 20, 30 years ago.
And so I think sometimes this thing that we need, we didn't actually need, or we don't need. And then if we have to get it in about a year from now, it's going to be obsolete anyway, or you're going to be able to get it really, really cheap. I think about your mom. She has a flip phone. And
my mom, not the listener's mom.
Yeah.
But maybe your mom does too.
So you're right. I'm talking to Amanda. So she has a flip phone. Those things where
they open up.
They open up and they don't really do. It's not like a computer or anything. It actually, what you use it for is to make phone calls
and receive phone calls.
And receive phone calls. Like, that's kind of crazy. That's actually what the phones are meant for, anyway. And so her phone was breaking, and she upgraded to the exact same phone.
Yeah.
Because she didn't need all the other stuff.
And the flip phone lasts a lot longer than our smartphones.
I think
the battery lasts better.
I don't know, like 10 years.
It was pretty old, yeah, by the time she had to replace it. Absolutely. So there you go. Number 3.
Maybe downgrade to a flip phone if you're addicted to social media.
Maybe. That's a great idea for you, Brandon.
No, I don't know.
So what you already have. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Number 4 is your mouth. This seems intuitive, but we got to call it out. Stand up for what you believe. You cannot change the world by yourself. And I'd encourage you to take it a step further and use your mouth to build deeper relationships and build them with people different than you. So I'm not talking about, just shouting from the rooftops what you believe, but engaging in real conversation and building real relationships, especially with people that are different than you in race, in ethnicity, in culture, in gender, in all of those ways. To do this, you have to just transform your small talk into big talk. What do I mean by that? Instead of just saying, how are you? Have a good day, water cooler kind of talk at the workplace or as you go about life, ask deeper questions. How are you really? Remember things about people. Ask them for updates the next time you see them. Talk about what really matters too. Not just, did you hear that latest tweet that the president made, but did you hear about this really significant thing that's happening? And, do you want to hear about it? I'd love to hear your opinion about what could be done, that sort of thing. And when you're in the room with lots of people, like at a networking event or party, or even like at a bar, seek out those who seem different than you. Don't just stay in your little bubble. You're already talking to people. My guess is, we have to talk to people for the most part in order to get things done. Even, if you go through a drive-through, you got to talk to people. Transform the way you talk to them and to whom you talk, and you can make that positive difference in the world simply by just building those relationships, being nice, going deeper, all of those kind of things.
I would add being a good listener at the same time. I think for me, I might talk too much and get myself in trouble because of my Enneagram style and all kinds of other things, that maybe I'm too loud and I need to maybe step back on the flip side and be a good listener. And being a listener and engaging in how you're doing really, but being able to pay attention to that conversation, not just think about what you're going to say next, but listening to that person and being in that moment. I think doing that is a really good thing.
Yeah, so you can tell Brandon did not know what I was going to share today, because number 5 of the 5 tools to make a positive difference in the world without adding to your to-do list is your ears. That's your tool.
There you go. I didn't know.
What I was going to say about it is, as you go about your day, pay attention, listen actively, be present where you are. No one makes a positive difference except where they are. If you're looking to make a positive difference, you're going to do that exactly where you are. You're already going about your day. Just transform the way you listen. Transform what you pay attention to. Keep your ears open and your eyes open to see what's happening around you. And I bet you're going to find ways to make the world a better place.
I think there's a whole lot of people who want to hear themselves, want to hear others, somewhat hear others, but there's not a lot of great listeners out there. And so as you do that, you will change the world, because, again, people aren't used to being listened to. Again, when you go and you talk to somebody and say, how are you doing? Usually the answer is fine, and that's it. But
you have to ask a second time.
Yeah, ask a second time. How are you doing really? And that's going to really make a bigger difference in that person's life and possibly yours. And so taking that time, listening, again, that takes time on your end, and speaking whenever it's appropriate.
Yeah, but it doesn't take that much time. You're already interacting with people.
Yeah.
You just got to pay a little closer attention and really get people to share what's really going on instead of keeping it at a surface level.
Yep.
So there you have it, the 5 tools that you can use to make a positive difference in the world without adding more to your to-do list. The number 1 is upgrades. Number 2 is charitable giving. 3 is what you already have. 4 is your mouth. And 5 is your ears. Anything more you want to say, Brandon, before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. We didn't talk about the other 3 senses. I think smell and I don't know.
Well, let's just say, so what do you got? Touch, smell, and sight. I kind of alluded to sight, but if you have any ways that you can smell your way into a better world, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear what ideas you come up with. Thanks for listening to the Business Activist Entrepreneur podcast. We really appreciate you tuning in each week. Be sure to subscribe. You're not going to want to miss an episode. We've got some big news we're going to be releasing in the next few weeks, so hit that subscribe button. And if you found this episode helpful, we simply ask that you share it with someone you think would also benefit, or share it on your favorite social media platform. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast app so we know we've been helpful too. And we'll catch you next week. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Business Activist Entrepreneur podcast with Brandon and Amanda Neely. If you like our show and want to know more, check out businessactivistentrepreneur.com. Remember, sharing is caring. Please leave a review wherever you listen to this podcast and use the social share buttons to tell other business activist entrepreneurs.